Framework, a digital tool to assess the readiness and awareness of SMEs to flood risk, to offer prevention and protection advice and increase their resilience. A multi-language platform currently available in English, Bahasa Malaysia and Chinese, the SME Loss Prevention Framework leverages the power of data, awareness and understanding of potential risk areas for businesses to define their exposure profile and develop specific action plans. Getting advice is simple. Select your industry and geographic location. Discover your risk profile, low, medium or high, and learn how to protect your business with better risk management. The SME Loss Prevention Framework is an evolving tool. It will expand to include more geographies and types of risk, also through a dedicated mobile app, to protect more and more SMEs from across the region and the world against the hazards that might arise. SME Loss Prevention Framework. Greater awareness, greater resilience. Small and medium-sized enterprises account for nearly 50% of total employment and 97% of all businesses in Malaysia. They're a pillar and a driver of socio-economic development, yet many remain vulnerable to growing climate risks, especially floods. Being aware of these risks is the first step to taking action. That is why Generali and the Insurance and Risk Finance Facility Initiative, led by UNDP, have created the SME Loss Prevention Framework, a digital tool to assess the readiness and awareness of SMEs to flood risk, to offer prevention and protection advice and increase their resilience. A multi-language platform currently available in English, Bahasa Malaysia and Chinese, the SME Loss Prevention Framework leverages the power of data, awareness and understanding of potential risk areas for businesses to define their exposure profile and develop specific action plans. Getting advice is simple. Select your industry and geographic location. Discover your risk profile, low, medium or high, and learn how to protect your business with better risk management. The SME Loss Prevention Framework is an evolving tool. It will expand to include more geographies and types of risk, also through a dedicated mobile app, to protect more and more SMEs from across the region and the world against the hazards that might arise. SME Loss Prevention Framework. Greater awareness, greater resilience. Small and medium-sized enterprises account for nearly 50% of total employment and 97% of all businesses in Malaysia. They're a pillar and a driver of socio-economic development, yet many remain vulnerable to growing climate risks, especially floods. Being aware of these risks is the first step to taking action. That is why Generali and the Insurance and Risk Finance Facility Initiative, led by UNDP, have created the SME Loss Prevention Framework, a digital tool to assess the readiness and awareness of SMEs to flood risk, to offer prevention and protection advice and increase their resilience. A multi-language platform currently available in English, Bahasa Malaysia and Chinese, the SME Loss Prevention Framework leverages the power of data, awareness and understanding of potential risk areas for businesses to define their exposure profile and develop specific action plans. Getting advice is simple. Select your industry and geographic location. Discover your risk profile, low, medium or high, and learn how to protect your business with better risk management. The SME Loss Prevention Framework is an evolving tool. It will expand to include more geographies and types of risk, also through a dedicated mobile app, to protect more and more SMEs from across the region and the world against the hazards that might arise. SME Loss Prevention Framework. Greater awareness, greater resilience. Small and medium-sized enterprises account for nearly 50% of total employment and 97% of all businesses in Malaysia. They're a pillar and a driver of socio-economic development, yet many remain vulnerable to growing climate risks, especially floods. Being aware of these risks is the first step to taking action. That is why Generali and the Insurance and Risk Finance Facility Initiative, led by UNDP, have created the SME Loss Prevention Framework, a digital tool to assess the readiness and awareness of SMEs to flood risk, to offer prevention and protection advice and increase their resilience. A multi-language platform currently available in English, Bahasa Malaysia and Chinese, the SME Loss Prevention Framework leverages the power of data, awareness and understanding of potential risk areas for businesses to define their exposure profile and develop specific action plans. Getting advice is simple. Select your industry and geographic location. Discover your risk profile, low, medium or high, and learn how to protect your business with better risk management. The SME Loss Prevention Framework is an evolving tool. It will expand to include more geographies and types of risk, also through a dedicated mobile app, to protect more and more SMEs from across the region and the world against the hazards that might arise. SME Loss Prevention Framework. Greater awareness, greater resilience. Small and medium-sized enterprises account for nearly 50% of total employment and 97% of all businesses in Malaysia. They're a pillar and a driver of socio-economic development, yet many remain vulnerable to growing climate risks, especially floods. Being aware of these risks is the first step to taking action. That is why Generali and the Insurance and Risk Finance Facility Initiative, led by UNDP, have created the SME Loss Prevention Framework, a digital tool to assess the readiness and awareness of SMEs to flood risk, to offer prevention and protection advice and increase their resilience. A multi-language platform currently available in English, Bahasa Malaysia and Chinese, the SME Loss Prevention Framework leverages the power of data, awareness and understanding of potential risk areas for businesses to define their exposure profile and develop specific action plans. Getting advice is simple. Select your industry and geographic location. Discover your risk profile, low, medium or high, and learn how to protect your business with better risk management. The SME Loss Prevention Framework is an evolving tool. It will expand to include more geographies and types of risk, also through a dedicated mobile app, to protect more and more SMEs from across the region and the world against the hazards that might arise. SME Loss Prevention Framework. Greater awareness, greater resilience. Small and medium-sized enterprises account for nearly 50% of total employment and 97% of all businesses in Malaysia. They're a pillar and a driver of socio-economic development, yet many remain vulnerable to growing climate risks, especially floods. Being aware of these risks is the first step to taking action. That is why Generali and the Insurance and Risk Finance Facility Initiative, led by UNDP, have created the SME Loss Prevention Framework, a digital tool to assess the readiness and awareness of SMEs to flood risk, to offer prevention and protection advice and increase their resilience. A multi-language platform currently available in English, Bahasa Malaysia and Chinese, the SME Loss Prevention Framework leverages the power of data, awareness and understanding of potential risk areas for businesses to define their exposure profile and develop specific action plans. Getting advice is simple. Select your industry and geographic location. Discover your risk profile, low, medium, or high, and learn how to protect your business with better risk management. The SME Loss Prevention Framework is an evolving tool. It will expand to include more geographies and types of risk, also through a dedicated mobile app, to protect more and more SMEs from across the region and the world against the hazards that might arise. SME Loss Prevention Framework. Greater awareness, greater resilience. Small and medium-sized enterprises account for nearly 50% of total employment and 97% of all businesses in Malaysia. They're a pillar and a driver of socio-economic development, yet many remain vulnerable to growing climate risks, especially floods. Being aware of these risks is the first step to taking action. That is why Generali and the Insurance and Risk Finance Facility Initiative, led by UNDP, have created the SME Loss Prevention Framework, a digital tool to assess the readiness and awareness of SMEs to flood risk, to offer prevention and protection advice and increase their resilience. A multi-language platform currently available in English, Bahasa Malaysia and Chinese, the SME Loss Prevention Framework leverages the power of data, awareness and understanding of potential risk areas for businesses to define their exposure profile and develop specific action plans. Getting advice is simple. Select your industry and geographic location. Discover your risk profile, low, medium, or high, and learn how to protect your business with better risk management. The SME Loss Prevention Framework is an evolving tool. It will expand to include more geographies and types of risk, also through a dedicated mobile app, to protect more and more SMEs from across the region and the world against the hazards that might arise. SME Loss Prevention Framework. Greater awareness, greater resilience. Small and medium-sized enterprises account for nearly 50% of total employment and 97% of all businesses in Malaysia. They're a pillar and a driver of socio-economic development, yet many remain vulnerable to growing climate risks, especially floods. Being aware of these risks is the first step to taking action. That is why Generali and the Insurance and Risk Finance Facility Initiative, led by UNDP, have created the SME Loss Prevention Framework, a digital tool to assess the readiness and awareness of SMEs to flood risk, to offer prevention and protection advice and increase their resilience. A multi-language platform currently available in English, Bahasa Malaysia and Chinese, the SME Loss Prevention Framework leverages the power of data, awareness and understanding of potential risk areas for businesses to define their exposure profile and develop specific action plans. Getting advice is simple. Select your industry and geographic location. Discover your risk profile, low, medium, or high, and learn how to protect your business with better risk management. The SME Loss Prevention Framework is an evolving tool. It will expand to include more geographies and types of risk, also through a dedicated mobile app, to protect more and more SMEs from across the region and the world against the hazards that might arise. SME Loss Prevention Framework. Greater awareness, greater resilience. Small and medium-sized enterprises account for nearly 50% of total employment and 97% of all businesses in Malaysia. They're a pillar and a driver of socio-economic development, yet many remain vulnerable to growing climate risks, especially floods. Being aware of these risks is the first step to taking action. That is why Generali and the Insurance and Risk Finance Facility Initiative, led by UNDP, have created the SME Loss Prevention Framework, a digital tool to assess the readiness and awareness of SMEs to flood risk, to offer prevention and protection advice and increase their resilience. A multi-language platform currently available in English, Bahasa Malaysia and Chinese, the SME Loss Prevention Framework leverages the power of data, awareness and understanding of potential risk areas for businesses to define their exposure profile and develop specific action plans. Getting advice is simple. Select your industry and geographic location. Discover your risk profile, low, medium or high, and learn how to protect your business with better risk management. The SME Loss Prevention Framework is an evolving tool. It will expand to include more geographies and types of risk, also through a dedicated mobile app, to protect more and more SMEs from across the region and the world against the hazards that might arise. SME Loss Prevention Framework. Greater awareness, greater resilience. Small and medium-sized enterprises account for nearly 50% of total employment and 97% of all businesses in Malaysia. They're a pillar and a driver of socio-economic development, yet many remain vulnerable to growing climate risks, especially floods. Being aware of these risks is the first step to taking action. That is why Generali and the Insurance and Risk Finance Facility Initiative, led by UNDP, have created the SME Loss Prevention Framework, a digital tool to assess the readiness and awareness of SMEs to flood risk, to offer prevention and protection advice and increase their resilience. A multi-language platform currently available in English, Bahasa Malaysia and Chinese, the SME Loss Prevention Framework leverages the power of data, awareness and understanding of potential risk areas for businesses to define their exposure profile and develop specific action plans. Getting advice is simple. Select your industry and geographic location. Discover your risk profile, low, medium or high, and learn how to protect your business with better risk management. The SME Loss Prevention Framework is an evolving tool. It will expand to include more geographies and types of risk, also through a dedicated mobile app, to protect more and more SMEs from across the region and the world against the hazards that might arise. SME Loss Prevention Framework. Greater awareness, greater resilience. Small and medium-sized enterprises account for nearly 50% of total employment and 97% of all businesses in Malaysia. They're a pillar and a driver of socio-economic development, yet many remain vulnerable to growing climate risks, especially floods. Being aware of these risks is the first step to taking action. That is why Generali and the Insurance and Risk Finance Facility Initiative, led by UNDP, have created the SME Loss Prevention Framework, a digital tool to assess the readiness and awareness of SMEs to flood risk, to offer prevention and protection advice and increase their resilience. A multi-language platform currently available in English, Bahasa Malaysia and Chinese, the SME Loss Prevention Framework leverages the power of data, awareness and understanding of potential risk areas for businesses to define their exposure profile and develop specific action plans. Getting advice is simple. Select your industry and geographic location. Discover your risk profile, low, medium or high, and learn how to protect your business with better risk management. The SME Loss Prevention Framework is an evolving tool. It will expand to include more geographies and types of risk, also through a dedicated mobile app, to protect more and more SMEs from across the region and the world against the hazards that might arise. SME Loss Prevention Framework. Greater awareness, greater resilience. Small and medium-sized enterprises account for nearly 50% of total employment and 97% of all businesses in Malaysia. They're a pillar and a driver of socio-economic development, yet many remain vulnerable to growing climate risks, especially floods. Being aware of these risks is the first step to taking action. That is why Generali and the Insurance and Risk Finance Facility Initiative, led by UNDP, have created the SME Loss Prevention Framework, a digital tool to assess the readiness and awareness of SMEs to flood risk, to offer prevention and protection advice and increase their resilience. A multi-language platform currently available in English, Bahasa Malaysia and Chinese, the SME Loss Prevention Framework leverages the power of data, awareness and understanding of potential risk areas for businesses to define their exposure profile and develop specific action plans. Getting advice is simple. Select your industry and geographic location. Discover your risk profile, low, medium or high, and learn how to protect your business with better risk management. The SME Loss Prevention Framework is an evolving tool. It will expand to include more geographies and types of risk, also through a dedicated mobile app, to protect more and more SMEs from across the region and the world against the hazards that might arise. SME Loss Prevention Framework. Greater awareness, greater resilience. Small and medium-sized enterprises account for nearly 50% of total employment and 97% of all businesses in Malaysia. They're a pillar and a driver of socio-economic development, yet many remain vulnerable to growing climate risks, especially floods. Being aware of these risks is the first step to taking action. That is why Generali and the Insurance and Risk Finance Facility Initiative, led by UNDP, have created the SME Loss Prevention Framework, a digital tool to assess the readiness and awareness of SMEs to flood risk, to offer prevention and protection advice and increase their resilience. A multi-language platform currently available in English, Bahasa Malaysia and Chinese, the SME Loss Prevention Framework leverages the power of data, awareness and understanding of potential risk areas for businesses to define their exposure profile and develop specific action.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I think we're so happy to be here. I think yesterday we had like the official, let me say, launch of the SME Loss Prevention Framework. So happy to be here with our partners of UNDP. And first of all, let me introduce myself for those of you that were not yesterday at the launch officially of the framework. So my name is Mirko Sartori. I am the Chief Insurance Officer of International at Generali. My responsibilities on the product, pricing, on P&C and life, and underwriting and insurance and claims. We're really honored to be, here and meeting all of you. We have been doing quite a journey along with UNDP at the start of our partnership between Generali and UNDP. We actually wanted really to come up with something that was really practical and pragmatic to kick it off in a way of, having a general ambition, a joint ambition in helping on the ground people and the communities to contribute to the resilience of the SME sector. And we found out that on top of, as insurance industry, on top of being like, happy to work on mitigating, the impact of sort of such events, I think personally it is very important, and even more important, to try preventing some losses and risks, and then reduce the chance of getting damages out of these events. So we really welcome the opportunity to be here and to exchange on this tool that has been really kicked off yesterday officially as a starting point to then build on and develop and leverage, also based on the feedbacks and conversations we may have or we may start today, and to be able, to then export first, our best practices here in Malaysia in terms of technical expertise for the SME sector, and then export also the same and apply also to other countries in Asia. I think that's the overall joint ambition for this precious partnership we have with the UNDP.
Thank you, Mirko, and also would like to welcome everyone here today. So my name is Jan Kellett. I lead UNDP's global work on insurance and risk financing. And if I have a job, like Mirko was telling what his job is, I guess it is to work with colleagues like my colleague Diana here, who leads the regional work. And where is Lauren? There she is, Lauren there, who's in charge of our engagement and partnerships. It is essentially to put risk transfer at the heart of development, which for those who've been following things like the Sustainable Development Goals, which are our roadmap towards working with all countries around the world in terms of progress and growth, etc. Actually, the SDGs themselves are remarkably blind. They're actually blind to issues of risk generally, and certainly blind to issues of what you do with risk once you've reduced and adapted, and you're left with what you do with the rest of it, if you like, a part of which definitely needs to be financially protected. And the data is very clear that we are living in a world of rising risk with very little financial protection. And this is very relevant to the SME sector. So we know from the report that we released yesterday, and also the kinds of things that I think we'll hear today as well. I think the data is similar for the ASEAN region as well as Malaysia in general, that 97 out of every 100 businesses are small and medium enterprises. That in general, looking across the region, 4 out of every $10 is generated by a small or medium enterprise, and they account for a very considerable amount of the employment, also drivers of innovation. So there's a whole set of reasons why small and medium businesses are important, and we also know that they have been seriously impacted by COVID, increasingly seriously impacted by disasters, slow and sudden as well. So what can we do collectively, if you like, to build the financial resilience of SMEs, noting that across the region, only 5% do have financial protection of any kind. So only 5 out of every 100 are actually financially protected in the world of rising risk, in the world of rising hazard and shock. So that's why the partnership with Generali, one of the world's largest and most influential insurers, is really critical to us. They're also strong in this region as well, because how can we work together with the governments to actually indeed build the financial resilience of SMEs, which are so key. And that's why we're really interested in moving forward with this loss prevention framework here today, and seeing it roll out in Malaysia, the first country where this is essentially being piloted, I guess we could say. Maybe it's a bit more than piloting, though, I think. So looking forward to hearing from you all today and getting your views on how we can proceed. Thanks.
Good.
And I think we're handing over to Diana and Patrick. Just Diana.
Okay. Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Diana Almoro. I'm UNDP's Regional Specialist for Insurance and Risk Financing, and I'm based in Bangkok, originally from the Philippines, but often mistaken as Indonesian, Malaysian, one-time Mongolian, which was, quite weird. Yeah, so I'm here today to start off our conversation on what is, a bit of the context on what inspired UNDP and Generali to develop this tool that we are going to be showing you today. And I think Jan already mentioned some of the numbers that I was going to mention. So as Jan mentioned, the backbone of Malaysia's economy is really made up of SMEs. As much as 97% of the Malaysian economy is comprised of SMEs. And in fact, 1.2 million, there are 1.2 million SMEs in Malaysia, and as many as 900,000 of those are micro businesses. Now, as many of you may have also experienced, SMEs face, worsening risks, more increasingly in the past decade, caused by climate and disaster risks that really affect your business operations, your income generation, and your ability to access capital to then invest for future business growth. Right? And it's not surprising that floods are the most impactful natural catastrophe here in Malaysia, affecting SMEs. In fact, in the 2021 floods, more than 6 billion ringgit was the damage inflicted on SMEs. Now, unfortunately, SMEs have very limited risk coping options, whether it's understanding your risk profiles or accessing and understanding what actions on risk reduction or risk prevention that you can put in place. And this is really the background of why UNDP and Generali came together, bringing our respective expertise to develop a tool. Right? And we call it Framework for SMEs in order not only to understand your risk profiles, but also assess how ready and equipped your businesses are when flood risks impact your operations. And then based on this assessment, it recommends a set of actions for you to put in place, not only for risk reduction, but also for risk prevention. And also, it's a whole set of portfolio, and insurance solutions is just one of these solutions that it would be suggesting. Now, the assessment that I mentioned that you will see in the tool that we will demonstrate, it's basically based on the industry or the type of industry that the SME belongs to, and also the geographical location of the SMEs. So this tool that I mentioned, we call it the SME Loss Prevention Framework. It's a digital tool, leveraging really the power of data, risk awareness, and risk understanding for businesses in vulnerable communities, particularly communities that are flood prone. And as both Jan and Mirko mentioned, we are starting this significant work here in Malaysia. We've already learned quite a lot of lessons that we're excited to potentially replicate in other countries. So we're excited for that. So on that left-hand side, who are our target segments? As we all know, it's intended for use by SMEs. It aims to, as I mentioned, increase really the awareness of SMEs of risk, because as many enterprises are, risk blind. I think Jan mentioned risk blind, and there's very little awareness of how risk really affect your businesses. It aims to develop real protection, not only physical, but also financial protection. And through these actions that are recommended, hopefully, it inspires SMEs to understand how to minimize your losses from flood risks. And UNDP and Generali, with this tool, we envision that it will help SMEs improve your risk awareness, help strengthen and really sustain business models, and ultimately increase your resilience. For now, in the face of flood risk, but hopefully in the future, we'll be adding on other risks that are affecting SMEs. As we mentioned, the framework is currently hosted as an online platform. But we do envision to develop it as an mobile app that you can access quite easily, and you can get advice on how you can understand your risks and also the types of actions that you can put in place to reduce and prevent your risk, right? And with that, I hand over to Patrick to give us a bit more flavor of the framework.
Thank you. Okay, the micro? Perfect. Okay. Good morning to all of you that you are in front of me, and good morning to all the people that are online. We have roughly 50, 60 people that are connecting online, so I hope you are hearing also me very well, and you can show the presentation here in front of you. So I will present myself. I hope you will understand my English with my French accent, but I think it will be good. I am, in fact, Patrick Savre. I am working for Generali with Mirko. Head, to simplify, I will say that I am head insurance and claims. So fully involved, in fact, in the job of SMEs, and also about, unfortunately, the claims when SMEs they are facing some disaster in terms of nat event, but also in terms of fire or other risks. So, in fact, moving, I hope not this one. Every time there is a mistake, so this one, it was my first. So, about the project of the Loss Prevention Framework, just to introduce this project to you. So, I am super proud to be here in Malaysia with you, in front of you, to develop, in fact, this specific project for you SMEs to be more resilient in front of this kind of event. Keep in mind that with UNDP we are developing, in fact, these actions to increase the resilience. And Malaysia, you are the first country, so you are the pilot. You will be, in fact, leading after the development of the others. So all the things that we are developing here, will be developed after in other countries. I think first in Asia and after in the other part of the world. So super proud to be here, in fact, and to have as a first Malaysia in this specific, let's say, journey to develop this tool. So, just to introduce, in fact, this tool, maybe how this was creating, for you to understand better the dynamic after about the result. The result itself could be simple. You will see you have three colors. I am red, I am orange, or I am yellow. I am green. So green, you are in a quiet zone. Red, you are in a risky zone. Okay? So this, at the end, it seems simple. I wanted to inform you that this came from a lot of data, and the power of data is something that it is very important. We use a lot of data source. We use weather data source. We use, in fact, economic. So economic, it's how SMEs are distributing in Malaysia, the employees, the turnover, etc. So this is the economics part. We use also specific disaster data sources, and we use, at the end, insurance data sources to understand better in terms of claims, the frequency, so how many times this happened within the past year, and also the severity is what was the cost of the claims that was, in fact, paid, so affected SMEs. So at the end, I said power of data, it's a never-end story. Never-end story. So this tool was built with the data that we collected. We are still collecting data, with the different organizations also in Malaysia, different associations, Bank Negara, etc. So we are trying to collect a lot of data to continue, in fact, to improve and to be even more granular, more sophisticated with this tool. So it's a never-end story, and this it's very important to keep in mind. Never-end story also because you know that we are in a situation, unfortunately, but it's a reality of climate change. So what we can look on the past, if it was true maybe 20 years, 30 years before, when we looked at the past, now we consider that the past is giving an information, but not maybe the perfect information for the prediction of the future. Okay? So we are also working on specific model to predict the climate change. So let's imagine that you will have 1 degree increase in the for the next 10 years. we will implement this in the model to understand, in fact, what is the impact of this in the peril, in the natural catastrophes that we can occur in the various geographies. So this is an important topic also to take into account. We are also in your various activities also welcome to bring information, to bring data. If you have some sources, if you have some things, really feel free, you know, to get to come to us and to bring this kind of data, to bring your experience. If we are organizing this masterclass today, it's because we are developing this tool for a better resilience in the SMEs economy, because you are, everybody says that you are, in fact, backbone of the economy, but you are the economy, in fact, at the end, SMEs, because you are producing, in fact, a lot of things in your market here in Malaysia, not in Malaysia. When we are looking at the world, you know, many times SMEs, they are the economy of the country. So it's very important. So that's why with this masterclass today, we are really expecting feedback from your side. Feedback about your experience, about your expertise, you know, about what you know, about the past, how you are also faced, unfortunately, some perils, the ones that occurred in 2021, that was a dramatic one, how you, in fact, experience negatively, of course, this kind of peril. So just to introduce, before to introduce this, to tell you that, in fact, you will have a chat that will remain open 1 week, or maybe more, we will see, but at least 1 week. After this event that we have today, you will have 1 week to comment, positively, negatively, to bring information, to bring everything, because this, you know, it's really super important for us to move in the next version of the tool, to improve the tool, and to really build a tool tailor-made for you. Okay? So this is very important. So keep in mind that you are super free after this event to comment and to move, in fact, in this chat. Now, let's jump in the tool. I will explain in a few slides. I will not have a lot of time. It's very quick. And after, you will have a demo, you know, in live demo with Eugene that will bring you, you know, in the reality of the tool today. I was testing this part. So here, in fact, you have the two main selections that you have to do in the tool. The industry and the state and the district. So industry, why? Because when we analyze the damages occurred, you know, after the various events, we identify, and it's obvious, huh? But the statistic proved this. We understood that the damages were not the same depending on the industry. When you have, here we are speaking about flood risk, depending on the intensity of the flood, we will not have the same damage in agriculture that we will have in services. You know, it's not needed to use mathematics to find this. I think you already have in mind. Mathematics is bringing, you know, a granularity, but the obvious things of the life you already know. So that's why, in fact, at the beginning, you will choose your industry. The industry will also select a specific model that after selecting the states and the area will bring you, in fact, in the next step. The next step is the geolocalization of the zone. Here it's not the full model, it's just an example we implement in the system, and you have the zone. Here you will find, you know, in the website. It's not the pure map of the risk of Malaysia. It's because of the choice that were made. Here you have this map. For your own case, maybe you will have a different situation, okay? So don't consider that this part is green and this part is red, and after it's finished. So there is more granularity behind when you will go through. About the granularity, of course, we will improve the granularity. And I wanted to take advantage of this map to demonstrate to you, how we can be even more granular. Today, because of the data that we received, we are working at the district, area. So, and it's something that about what it is existing now. I think it's a huge development forward, and I really hope, by heart, that this will bring to you a better awareness about the risks that you can face, in your country, and due to this, to protect, in fact, your business and to have a higher level of business continuity. Nobody wants to stop the business when we are entrepreneurs. We want to continue the business. We don't want to stop. So the resilience is to have a business continuity that is a permanent one. So this is why, in this development, we will continue to develop the granularity of this and to go through the postal code. Because it's, as you will see when you will go through the tool, as expert of your zone also, you will understand sometimes that maybe there is some granularity that we can improve. Okay? Some mini fine-tuning that we can improve, and this will arrive with a postal code. So the geolocalization is very important because step by step with the data, and we already started, we will be even more granular to arrive at the address. So this it's an important development that we have in mind. So when you will have implemented this, you will have different risks. So the different risk, it will be, as I said, red, orange or yellow, as you want, and green. So, and about this, you will find different information. So here it's exactly, in fact, the screen that you will have. It's protectmysme.com. Remember this link because it's a link to go. Protectmysme.com. It's very important. And you go through and you will do exactly what I said. SME activity, the state, the area, and after you check, and you go, in fact, in the color zone. When you arrive in the color zone, I think the most important part is this part. It's this part. That it's a list of advices. Okay? The list of advices, this thanks to the experience that we have at Generali worldwide, where we collected in this list that can be simple, but it is something that needed many time of experience, of also expertise from various people, and you will find in this list immediate actions, mid to long-term actions, so solutions. Does it mean, if I want to simplify, here, globally speaking, you can do it, you can take care of it without investment. It's things super simple. Super simple that for some of you, maybe you already do, okay? But maybe not. So you have like an executive summary about the actions that you can do. Action simple. After, when we go to the mid to long term, sometimes it needs investment. It needs to put some money to create a barrier, to protect the water, or to create maybe a ceiling to bring some computers or things that here, or to take a subscription to a cloud, because sometimes in the business activity, the daily business activity, we are running every time, when we are entrepreneur, and it's very difficult to think about things. So to have a cloud, it's when you have a disaster in your IT system, you can restart in less than 1 day. You plug a laptop and it's finished. You restart your business, you have everything. So it's maybe solutions that are simple because we are looking, as an helicopter view, we have time to look at this, and we are bringing to you specific actions to do it. But here you have the list, and after you can interact as you want, in your own activity. So this, it's an important part. The list, of course, we will improve the list in this specific advices part. we have many things in mind, you know, and we are here in a masterclass, so I think it's the time also to brainstorm together, and if you have ideas also, feel free in the comments to bring your ideas. For instance, here, why not to give you some providers, you know, providers that we will find with you, you know, entrepreneurs, that if you want to do these actions, you have an entrepreneur. You have an entrepreneur that will build, in fact, this action. If there is something to create, a wall or an IT activity, etc., why not to bring here some providers that will be qualified to do the job? Nobody knows. So this is also what we can do and move together in this specific improvement of the tool that I will say your tool. You know, it's not a tool. It's the tool for the entrepreneur. It's the tool for the SMEs. It's your tool. So just to stop, you will never hear me, except if you have a question. So it's just to summarize a little bit, in fact, what is the target of this. So, of course, is to increase the awareness of in this specific development about flood risk. So, what is my situation here? I am here in this specific area. What is the risk that can occur in my specific area? And to know, I think, when we know, it's already, you know, a very, very huge step forward, you know, to have the mind that is running and to do things that can improve this. Further awareness, and after, with some advices that you will find, some modification maybe that you can do, simple. Don't speak about money, you know, just to do the things, and the mid-long term, it's money, but the other are simple to do, to try to be more resilient. Sometimes it's never possible to cancel the risk. The risk exists. And you will never see in the advice, change your address. You are in the west, go in the east of Malaysia. No. You are an activity, you are an entrepreneur, you are acting in a specific area. So the target is not to ask you to move, because you have your customers around, you have many things around. So, with some actions, you will reduce by 10, 30, 60%, sometimes all, the risk of floods that can occur in your specific area. I hope that, globally speaking, I try to be clear. I hope that my French accent didn't disturb you too much on this explanation. In any case, I thank all of you to be here and to take time to be with us today, to build the SME Resilience in Malaysia together. Also with the people that I cannot see, but they are online, so virtual, but even here with us to listen, in fact, this. And for the next step, I will let the floor to Eugene that will bring you in the reality with the live demo. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Good morning, everyone. Selamat pagi semua. So my name is Eugene. I'm the head of product for Generali Insurance Malaysia. So the next section is the most important section that we're handling right now. I'm moderating for the Q&A session. So before I go to that, I would like to show a short demo of what Patrick has explained, which is the framework itself, Protect My SME. So if you can get the screen ready, we will be showing the real web solution, the platform. So as you can see, this is how it looks like. It's a very simple screen, and I just want to highlight that this particular framework do give us 3 options of language. We have English, BM, and also Mandarin. The intention is very clear. We want to try to reach out as far as possible and as much as possible, right? So the first few pages will just share about what is it all about, who's the partner, some videos to view, and so forth. And the delivery of this particular framework is towards the bottom where you can check your risk profile. Yeah. So this is where we want to create that awareness among our SME. Okay. This is a simple tool. All right. So Mei-Ling, if you don't mind, can you please? Yes, we can put it Bahasa Malaysia. All right. So I can also accept question in Bahasa Malaysia as well. I'm not an issue. So let's go down to the framework itself. So basically, we have six activity is pertanian, pembuatan, perkhidmatan, perdagangan, edaran, pembinaan, dan pengelompokan kuari. All right. So there's an English version, Mandarin version, and Malay version. So probably just to see how it works. So if I can get probably somebody to give me an industry, basically from the 5 activity, maybe give me an industry that you want. Pertanian, pembuatan, pertanian. Okay, pertanian. So we go to pertanian, and then probably we'll just select, okay, since Johor Batu Pahat is there, I just put Johor Batu Pahat, and then we go to Semak. So basically, for pertanian, coincidentally, that particular location is deemed to be high risk, risiko tinggi. All right, this is for our English-speaking colleagues. So risiko tinggi means a high risk. So this is the tindakan serta-merta or the immediate action that is proposed. Okay, proposed to our user, basically what they can do immediately. So what I have mentioned by Patrick, some of these proposals are probably can be done at any time, but most of them do not know that this could be done. So we are just putting that forward to them that you can do this without costing anything. And then if you go scroll down, there we have penyelesaian jangka pertengahan atau panjang, which is short, mid to long term. This probably some of it could something require some capital injection and so forth. All right. So let's try to take a look at a few other examples, which is showing amber and also red. So this is showing sederhana, which is medium risk. Similar, the list seems to be shorter. Okay, obviously, because in a medium zone, and probably let's try to see how it looks like if it's on the green zone. Right, so that's how it looks. So basically, it's trying to give our SME user some practical tips. So some might felt this is a bit trivial, but maybe not, because we are trying to reach out to our SME down in the industry to tell them what they can do. That's the intention of this particular framework. That what Patrick mentioned, this is an evolving framework. We wish to be more micro, wish to be more granular at one point of time, but of course, we require a lot of assistance and also support from many other parties to get those kind of data for us to build a more better predictive So I would like to move on to our Q&A. So this is an open session, so of course I will accept questions and also get feedback. So to move to the next session, I'm going to use Slido to assist me in terms of getting information and so to engage with the audience. So you might want to get your handphone ready. We will then be popping the QR code so that everybody can just participate in the session. So if you don't mind, and this will also be shared in our live streaming in YouTube, they can click the link or your QR code. If you can get everybody from the floor to also participate and scan the QR code, probably I'll give a few more seconds. Yeah, just to also to inform that basically we are already in communication talks with SME Corporation and Bank Negara in terms of how we can further enhance this. Of course, any other feedback coming in through this particular Q&A is very much more appreciated. So I think everybody have already got this. We can go to the next question. Let's move on to the Slidos. So we just want to get a first impression basically in terms of when you look at the framework, what do you feel? Is it very useful, less useful? What is it all about? What is the first impression you get? I hope our YouTube streamers can also participate as well. Probably is there anybody in the room that probably want to give some feedback or their opinion, immediate medium with regards to this particular, yes?
So hi, my name is Don. So I think the website, because I was just playing around with it. So I feel that it's neutral because it's a good start. But let's say for example, if I'm an SME, it doesn't cover the, let's say, my concerns about flash flood, because it's very at the district level. So, for example, I was playing around, I put it in Kedah, like, in Kuala Muda, because there are some incidences of flash flood, but it shows me at low risk. So it's beneficial for me because as an SME, because I may not get a flood loading. But the question that I have is because when I look at the solutions, and assuming I'm someone in the manufacturing sector, I will have these questions that, so how can Generali help me on this, the actions that I want to take? Because I'm totally not familiar about the mitigation actions, and because it is from a Generali website. So the first question is, how can I reach out to Generali, and is there someone from Generali that can help me to advise on what to do? So I think that is something that will be can be.
Thank you very much for your feedback. Probably I'll break it into two parts of it. So the first part of it, I think you're talking about the granularity of the information. So I must mention that the data that we obtain is from this Department of Statistics Malaysia for the 2021 and 2022 data. So yes, the data may not be as accurate because it is not a predictive model yet. We are not there yet. So it is based on past experience. And the past experience we had is in 2020-21, which is very, very prevalent in the center of Malaysia. So that's one. The second question is that, of course, this framework, this particular framework is supposed to, there's no commercial linkage in that manner. So it is currently being hosted at Generali, but the vision is for it to move into an app situation where it has become very independent from any business connotation. However, coming to that question, of course, as SME, I think it's very important for them to find solution. Solutions can be obtained various methods. We are not saying that it need to be diverted to Generali, so long you are able to connect to any insurance provider or providing such solution. I'm very sure some form of a more detailed mitigation or solution can be provided to you. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for the question. Yes.
Thank you very much for the question. I think it's very important to go new version and to improve the tool. So really very, very constructive. So thank you very much for this question. Just about the granularity about the advices, how me as entrepreneur, I can put on traction, in fact, this advice. And this is a super interesting question, and we are thinking about this. So we are thinking in the next step with maybe when there is a need of providers to have a list of providers, so also to have this kind of list. And also, and this, your question bring me an idea also, maybe we can, when you will click on the advice, to have more granular information and maybe to have some experience and how to develop this advice. So I think it's also an improvement that we can do. The advice is on purpose, for the list to be more readable. It's a bit executive summary, but with this question, I think we can also go with a click on the advice to a more granular development of the advice, also to give you some experience how this could be developed. So this it's very important. We will think about this. As Eugene said, there is no insurance business behind. Okay, we are developing this tool because we have this DNA of sustainability, of resilience, and it's a public tool. Okay, so everybody can access the tool. So it's something that you can connect on, even our peers, the other insurance company, and there is no products design and something behind. It's not a target on the tool at this time. Okay.
Thank you very much, Patrick, for that clarification. Okay, let's move on to probably the second question that probably we just want to get some engagement from the crowd. Let's talk about awareness. So the thing, in your opinion, what is the risk awareness level among our SMEs? Okay, so high, low. So we would want to also understand basically if it's low or if it's high, if it's low. So probably could there be any opinion or feedback or comments that can be provided on how can we assist to increase such feedback? Anybody want to give any opinion from the floor?
Hi, my name is Nick Sharizal. I'm from PwC Malaysia. Of course, you know, in my line of work, I deal a lot with SMEs and business owners. And the general sense that I get is people are very aware, specifically about flood risk. And the reason is because there have been a lot of instances of flooding in Malaysia recently, in, you know, not just in Klang Valley, but also, you know, outside, outside KL. And I think people are aware about it, and people are concerned about it. And I think, but the bigger question is, how do people anticipate that risk and prepare in advance? So to answer your question, I think the level of risk awareness is there. But I think in terms of risk mitigation, I think that's the thing which I'm really impressed about this tool, because you provide some sort of a roadmap on what people should think about. And I think that's a great thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick. So I think, like what mentioned by Nick, I think the awareness is there because, like I say, again and again, I think Malaysians have been seeing flood occurrence more often than never. So the awareness should be there. The thing is that probably it's a month of mitigation. What do they do next? So like what Patrick had mentioned, this is the start of it. We want to give some practical solution to it, but we hope to evolve this particular framework to something more pertinent and more direct to the users. Thank you very much, Nick. So, any more comments? Yes.
Hi, thank you. My name is Candy. Just wanted to raise one comment and a follow-up question. So one of the comments that I have is that actually SMEs are more aware of risks that are very evident, such as natural disaster. Like everyone knows floods are coming and they're more like aware, right? But they are maybe less aware of some governance issues or new policies coming up. So those are those are risks that, you know, they should be made aware of. So my follow-up question is, what are the other, you know, risks that you plan to roll out on this app or this framework? Yeah, and great job for the team for doing this.
Thank you very much, Candy, for the compliment and also for your comment. Yes, we will pick that question up. I think we are getting up because we are meeting with a few other parties in the organization. We are meeting with SME Corp and also Benengai. So some of this question could be relevant to them as well to look into in terms of what are the government's risks and so forth. So in terms of what are we planning to do next, okay, besides floods, yes, we are trying to see what we can do in terms of besides flood, where can we go, but we are taking it step by step. There will be a few questions after that coming to your question as well. So just wait for that. Yeah, but we hope, we aspire to do more than flood. Yeah, for the time being. All right, that's great. Shall we move on to the next question, please? Okay. This is a yes and no question because for the time being, the framework only shows two characteristics or two criteria, which is the SME activity and the location. So can we have a resounding yes or no opinion? Okay. I think all of us can agree that this may not be adequate. Probably anybody want to give some insights? What do you think, what else should be included, which is very valuable and not to the extent asking too much from the SME, because we need SME to be inputting this information. Anybody want to share their opinion about this? Sorry again?
Maybe whether they already have insurance.
Okay, so basically another question that we want to ask them that, do you already have a protection? All right, it could be many ways, the insurance, general insurance, yeah, there could be one question. I think we'll mark that down. Anybody else who have anything else to say? Yes, Jen.
Well, I guess just building upon the gentleman's comments there, maybe, you know, not just whether or not you have insurance, but what you have insurance for. Because on the one hand, it'd be quite interesting to see an advanced version of the tool might be, okay, here you have a set of risks. Oh, and here you have your coverage for a certain thing. But by the way, did you know that the coverage that you have doesn't cover actually 50%, more than 50% of the risks that you've identified by going through the tool. So yeah, I can imagine an advanced version starting to unpack and unpick, if you like, some of the details within the relationship between risks and coverage.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Jen. Yeah, basically, of course, it is very ideal for us to get more information, for us to do a better diagnostic result. But then again, of course, we must also, when we created this, of course, we were thinking about simplicity. The reason is that we are trying to go very, very down to the bottom of the food chain where we are dealing with SMEs. So they may or may not be too sophisticated. So that's why we started at very, very low. But then again, when the awareness goes up, and I believe when the trends is a bit more higher, yes, we can be a bit more ambitious in asking more diagnostic questions for us to give a better prescription. Yeah? Thank you very much, Jen. Thank you very much, Candy. So, great. Let's look into the next question, see whether we can pick up a bit more opinion. Yes. Okay. This is an open question. So, of course, I was a bit answered by Nick just now on awareness level. So, what else can we do to increase the awareness level among SME? A general question. It not be intended to any parties, but just a general question. Anybody want to try or maybe to share your thoughts? What can you do to further increase awareness among SMEs? You can comment on specific risks. You can comment on overall risk. Do you want to have?
So I'll just have a shot about it because I think this is something that I was working on previously before joining here. I think like a lot of times, like, what the gentleman in front has mentioned about awareness. A lot of SMEs actually do aware about the risk, right, when it comes to floods and all. But their awareness, I think they have an incomplete awareness. They know that they have risk, but they can't see how can I spend an additional, they already tight cash flow on this. They can't see the impact. That means what's the financial gains for me? How can I recoup back, so-called my mitigation actions? Because unlike some of the larger SMEs, for example, if you have a warehouse that is flood prone, yes, you can spend money on mitigation, and then you can. But for smaller ones, I think the connecting the dots in terms of the dollar and cents, why should I take this action? I have a small business. So I think it's more of incomplete awareness rather than raising the awareness.
Maybe building off of that, I recognize this may not be possible for all the different interventions, but it could be useful to identify if any of the actions people could take could also make their policy premiums lower if they did want to have insurance, because similar to, there's policies where if you're a good driver, your auto insurance goes down. If you, show that you're proactive about your health, you don't smoke, you join a gym, your health insurance goes down. If people are doing things to protect themselves from flood risk or, store things in a certain way and you can verify that they, are doing those actions, can that also create a positive incentive for their insurance premiums to be more affordable so that at least they're seeing some incentive for, the costs required to implement those actions, or even maybe, low cost financing to enable them to implement those actions so that they do become more resilient. So I think that connection between the value that they can see, whether it's in insurance premiums or, low cost financing, I think would be important for actually creating those material connections.
Great suggestion, Lauren. Then I would also comment on Don as well. So I think I can combine what Candy and you mentioned. The thing is that, of course, awareness, this is a very broad question, awareness. So of course, is there, a bit out of the framework, is there a place where SME can go there and say, that, okay, what kind of risk is available? Do I face governance, natural disaster, and so it's a one-stop place where they can check, and then coupled to that, and of course, whatever that the SME does in terms of improving their risk profile, how will that be benefiting to them, or how can that basically, what can they get in return in terms of maybe better premium by the insurer? So in fact, you're not the first one who asked this question. They were talking about it as well from on the industry level in terms of how do we give back to the industry. So interesting point. We will take that as a note. Yeah, there are a few other that was also have comment to provide grants and incentive from government for helping SME to adopt to loss prevention, similar to what you mentioned. Policy adaptation to join public-private programs, more engagement through experience, sharing group forum according. Yeah, this is something that probably we can also share with SME Corporation as well, where I think is quite apt. When SME register includes screening process for anticipation risk. Great. I think we have a lot of comments, good comments here, which we will take back and probably analyze it and so share with relevant authorities. More activity to raise awareness, okay, amongst SME, public about SME. So maybe if you're talking about activities, okay, probably those who are here who are in SME. So what kind of activities would make sense for SME? I'm very sure there's a lot of activities ongoing. So sometimes what would be a very important activity that actually help the SME in terms of assisting them to increase the awareness level? Is there any particular thing? Yes, Don?
So this one has some experience as well. So previously when we would run workshops or larger, say conferences, seminars, it doesn't work because it's not tailor-made to the SMEs. A lot of them, even though in the same industry, for example, I'll just take an example, if you're in the auto supplies, everybody is different. But what I think may work is to have a more, let's say for example, one-to-one engagement, right? Literally you meet the owner and you say that, okay, this is how you're exposed to this risk. It's much better than a lot of the seminars because this has been going on for a couple of years. And what I've observed is that a lot of the SMEs, felt that, they get a bit distance during the seminars because they are not able to link it up because it's too general. And I feel that, the next step is actually to go and really approach them. Let's say, for example, if I take Generali as an example, then we have our agents on the ground. Yeah. They can play the role because one-to-one means I'm able to tell you that you have a very specific risk that's only, unless you have a higher exposure than other people, and these are the things that you can do. So I think the next steps, other than having these large events, and even, like, for example, the rural populations where they need protection more than others, I think the one-to-one approach will be the next natural step that should be taken.
Thank you very much, Don. That is a good feedback, and also an action can be taken by the fellow industry players. So it is very important, I think, from Don's perspective as an SME, they need to have a face-to-face or one-to-one consultation. So basically the event itself will create awareness, but of course if we can bring our sellers or insurance, representing insurance, to go down to the market and basically explain to them based on their knowledge and their expertise on how they or how the insurer can give that particular protection to them. Great, it's good. Okay, let's move on. Yes, micro.
Maybe just to build on what you mentioned, and also what also Lauren was mentioning, a couple of comments. So, from one side, I really see what Lauren mentioned about potential advantages you may have, putting in place some actions in, mitigating further, going forward your activity. But one comment, what we have seen with Patrick elsewhere in other countries or in other regions, you will be surprised of the result that even immediate actions with no investments will have. So, and what we have seen also talking with agents and brokers and clients elsewhere is that as soon as you put in place something, then it's actually a snowball effect. You see that you have some results, and maybe you have a small, flood events, and you see that, without those actions, you would have, maybe a worse damage than without any action. So I think the real focus of the immediate actions we put is that you try and you see immediate effect. Then, of course, there is what Lauren mentioned. Okay, so going forward, you save and you have a more positive, impact even more. But don't underestimate the benefit of the immediate actions that I think most of them with no investments or very low investment. Then the other thing, because I was really positively surprised of some of these comments, and I wanted to mention one specific topic. So there is some references to sort of real examples, because I can imagine that sometimes, you know, if you, maybe you can think about your own activity, but if you don't see this applied, you know, you can be a bit more skeptical, you know, to put in place some actions. So maybe one of my question is, maybe you can think about further. If we would be, you know, in a position to put some real examples, maybe from Malaysia or from other countries, let's see, same sector, same level of risks. Also, we can try to measure even more precisely, more than 3 categories, but we can put in place also some, you know, we can share some examples, real examples. You see, you have a similar SME in another country with your similar risk profile. The start situation was this one. They put in place some actions, they are ending up here, and maybe they change category. So from low to medium. But we put yourself in front of a real case. That could be another, I don't know, it's maybe a question, but I was thinking maybe that would be helpful to put more like meat around the bone, let me say.
Thank you. Yep.
Framework. It's actually the part you mentioned about the snowball effect. That the small ones, immediate ones that may not cost money and it has that impact. I think that point is something that we really need to put across, because I thought that was a really aha moment, because when you know, when Malcolm mentioned that, I was like, wow, okay, that it really put me into thinking that yes, maybe I should start implementing it, because you know, for someone from the industry to say that, look, this has a snowball effect, it does help. So I think that point can be something that, you know, because people look at it, oh, it looks very simple, but I think that point was missing, and I think that was something brilliant that we can put it as a bubble too. You know.
Yeah, thank you very much, Don, and thank you very much for that realization from Micro. It's true. Never ever underestimate the small action that we can do. Yeah, probably it's something that we can just bubble it up and then focus at never underestimate what little things that we can do might change the way we do things in future or reducing our risk. Thank you very much for the observation. Probably if you can, we just move on to the next question that we have planned for. Okay, basically, this is about how can we engage SME more. Of course, besides, we will then be doing a lot of distribution about the website and so forth. And what else do you think we can do in terms of sharing this good effort that we have made to all our SME? Maybe we'll just wait for anybody from the YouTube streamers, or otherwise anybody from the room want to share your thoughts. What else can we do to attract SME to use this framework? Any opinion? Any comment? Any comments coming in streaming first? Yeah. All right. Okay, engaging our agents to use these two as a conversation piece of their prospect. Yes, it's possible. It's very good. It is also can also be used as a guideline for them to be talking to their clients who are in certain areas. Case study, bring this conversation further to the national level. SME need to know what's in for them. Okay. So basically on the what's in for them, probably it can be further magnified, because the what's in for them is first to create awareness and to put them on a safer position, improve the profile. So I think that has been mentioned in the framework, but it can be magnified further. Increasing marketing campaign to create awareness, yes, something that we're planning to do as well. Yes, Lauren.
Thank you. I think similar to the report that we launched yesterday on this, using the aggregators who are working with SMEs as touch points, so trade associations, if you want to reach food and beverage using Grab or things like that, to understand like, hey, can you disseminate this to your members to help them reduce their vulnerability to the different risks that they face. So identifying how to reach SMEs at scale by who has contact with them in large numbers and showing the value add of the SMEs having resilience, whether it's because they're doing business with them, because whether they're an SME association, and then trying to get it out through them is sort of like a win-win. I think that can help also reach scale.
Much, Lauren. Yes, it's something that we plan to do as well. So we try to engage with a few of these associations to also help to reach out to that specific industry, because as we know that SME, it's a huge industry. Great, great feedback. I will definitely bring this in. We have a few more questions. Let's maybe quickly move on to some of the next questions that we have planned for. Yep. I think it was initiated by Candy asking about, can we just talk about something else as well? So we just want to know, now we are looking to flood, definitely, but of course we are also looking into other things. So should fire loss be part of the loss prevention framework? Should we include something similar in terms of telling our SME whether are they in a certain risk category? Of course, the fundamental will be more different. We will not probably look into location. It will be more into industry. We will look into all those factors that is relevant to that particular risk. Okay, we have, yes. So I think generally, I think a lot of people would agree that giving more information to our SME in terms of their risk profile is better, is good. There's another relating question to this, but before I move to that, is there anybody want to add anything with regards to it? Because fire here is very large, so it can be meant by fire related, or it can, in the insurance industry, fire could come with other related perils that comes together with it. All right. If not, we'll just quickly go to the next question. Yes, Jen.
Maybe just a question of, in the Malaysian context, how do you assess the likelihood of fire? Interesting to know how you do that. I guess as an insurer, you have your models and indices and urbanization, location, and type of industry and other kinds of things. It'd be interesting to know that.
Thank you very much, Jen, for the question. So generally, in the layman terms, basically in Malaysia itself or anywhere in the world, I believe that the occupation type of that particular industry is pertinent. So it is not going to be predictive, but it's more of historical data showing that what is the prevalently risk of that particular industry in terms of fire related. So of course, we can tell that if that industry deals with more hot related kind of activity, hence with they could be more higher risk in terms of fire losses compared to those that do not have too much of hot processes. So those are a very simplified way to explain this, but we have few hundreds types of occupation. So those is another code that we need to break, and data is available. So the thing is that it will be based more on past previous data rather than more of a predictive model. Patrick.
Yes, super happy about this answer. About the yes in fire. We had this also in mind about the risk fire in the SMEs industry. This is a completely different file. Okay, you understood that the first one about NAT event, we are looking about how, in fact, the event, this disaster, from the past and also from the predictive of in the future could happen. It was for flood. Fire, it's a completely different approach. Okay, fire. Okay, location can have an incidence, but maybe not a lot. Okay, and here we have also a big expertise, even higher in fire, with simple questions. Simple questions to you that can determine, in addition of the industry, because of course, if you are producing battery, you are more risky than if you are producing advertising. Okay, so it's a different context. So this it's the first level of rating in terms of risk, but after it's how you are operating in your offices, in your warehouse. What kind of things you have? Do you have extinguisher? Do you have sprinkler? Do you have this kind of things? So depending on what kind of offices you are renting. Maybe you don't have a sprinkler because you are renting office, but there is no. So all these kind of questions, simple question, will also bring you to a level of risk. So this, it's something that really we can develop. We have a super huge expertise worldwide on this. And in terms of loss prevention, we have also a very important expertise on this, because also things simple can be done. If you have, for instance, a tank of fuel, you know, in your warehouse, sometimes it's nothing in terms of cost to put, you know, this outside. If you have a security guys for some industries that is moving around, maybe it's nothing to ask him to enter in the building once a night, you know. So many things that also in terms of advice is simple ones that we can bring. So I am super happy about this question. We already had this information. We received this information from the SMEs industry in Malaysia, and also from the various statistics that we were looking in terms of let's say claims, where in fact fire it's a big concern for you in Malaysia. So feel very comfortable on this. We have the material to bring to you on this. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Patrick. I think Patrick is super excited because he have a new thing to think about. So quickly move to the next questions, a bit relating to the first one as well. So should storm loss be part of the loss prevention? So storm is also related to climate, which is natural related. So is this something that SME is interested to know? Probably I can just get, okay. So apparently it looks like the more information is better for everyone. So if you know your flood risk, your fire risk, and your storm risk is something that is desirable. Anybody want to comment about this particular question? I think after this we have one more question, right? Yep. Before we sum up for the session. All right. So we will take this feedback and probably share with our partners in terms of what can we do next. Okay, at least this is something that SME wants. So let's go to the last question before we wrap it up. Yeah, data. So we can't move without data. So as mentioned, the thing is that we are at the very infancy level where we get data. We are using multiple data, but we are talking to various organizations, including SME Corp and Subengara, to ensure that we have continuous data. So if there is any other opinion or suggestion how we can leverage power of data to improve the framework, yes, we'd like to hear from you. Yes, Candy.
This is a follow-up question from what you have said just now on, I'm sorry if I missed it, but you know how on your framework you have like low risk, medium risk and high risk, right? Is it based on any benchmark or any industry standards? Because it might seem, you know, a bit too general. Again, I understand, you know, granularity is something you're aiming for, but it might be worth, you know, setting it out there like, okay, this is based on industry standards and why we are putting you at low, because again, it's different. And second comment on like this leveraging the power of data, just playing devil's advocate a little bit, what is the difference between the framework and me putting in my business profile on ChatGPT and it telling me actually what my risks are? Because I'm sure if you can put it in, it can also give you some general feedback. So how, you know, like how can you differentiate? Because that is free and that is wide known, and this is a new app, right? Yeah.
Thank you very much, Candy. I'm very sure that Patrick wants to say something about it. You want to start
yes,
first?
I can.
Yes,
I can. Thank you for this super nice question before the closing or the wrap up, I think, on this question. So I like a lot ChatGPT. I ask a lot of things to ChatGPT, you know, but sometimes I am not asking everything. So, but it's a very nice tool, and intelligent artificial, I think it's the next step. It's the next step. We are thinking also generally in our models, you know, to bring artificial intelligence, and we already worked on this. We have already some models that are working with this because it's super nice. So, and this is the future. So, no comment about this. So, good idea to bring ChatGPT with us. Sometimes when you are playing with ChatGPT. I think you test also ChatGPT and the capability, the capacity, the limit of ChatGPT. ChatGPT, in fact, about what some doctor, professors, experience with ChatGPT is that some ChatGPT has an issue. It doesn't want not to answer. He wants to answer every time, or it wants to answer. Sometimes we are making mistakes with these kind of things. So, and as a difference about what we can have in the industry, we have something in insurance. Insurance, we are a world of data, analysts, actuarial guys, and it is in fact at the core of our business. We look in fact segmentation, we look at customers, and about risk, we are checking how we can help them. So the first native of the insurance company was to make money. You have a risk, we protect the risk, so we protect you. So this is very good, but it's to make money. I think insurance company, move a step forward, and they said, okay, we also be most sustainable, and we also must help the citizen, the society, to be sustainable and to avoid to have a claim. It's a pity when you have the advice and you keep your advice and your customer or even the citizen has a claim. It's dramatic. From my point of view, it's super dramatic. If I have an advice, I am not able to give the advice to my friend, to my colleague, or a simple person. It's very important. I think it's a concept. So with all the data that we have and all the models that we have, as a difference of ChatGPT, we have the possibility, for instance, for Malaysia, what we did, we aggregate a lot of data about, I said, frequency in terms of claims and severity, so how much it was paid for each of entrepreneurs that had claims in flood for this concern. We also look at other disaster, at other perils, but due to the fact that the flood was the most important one, we selected first the flood. But you express for fire, storm, etc. So of course we have other perils to develop. So with this expertise in data, with this expertise in modelizing, with this expertise in understanding, and also about the experience and not only the expertise in terms of advices, so loss prevention program, I think we are a little bit a step forward compared to ChatGPT, and I am super open to compete with ChatGPT. Trying to modelize a country and looking from what he has in his database and what I can get from what I can look, from the experience of the people, from the data, I can bring a difference. Maybe step by step, artificial intelligence will be even more competent. At this time, I think we have a step forward compared to ChatGPT. But keep in mind that it's a very good, in fact, challenge, because we are integrating now artificial intelligence in modelizing, helping us to be better, more in predictive about data that are arriving but are not enough. Climate change, we are in a situation that the data is just, because to be super granular, we really need to use the past, a lot of data, million of data, billion of data, etc. And for climate change, you also still have people that are climate skeptic, so imagine. So for climate change, we have still need of data. And in the predictive, about, in fact, the efficiency of the predictive, we are rating also the efficiency, and till the time that we are not reaching an efficiency that is at a correct rate, we cannot use. So, but I think it will be very soon and possible to use the climate change. We are also working with startups, with industries. Some of them were rewarded at the last COP, and I will not name it because I don't want to advertise, but one is from Asia, from Hong Kong also, and close to you also here in your country. So I think we are on the next step already.
Thank you very much, Patrick, for the passionate answer. So here you get, Patrick said we are better than ChatGPT. But at the end of the day, basically, it's not a competition. So long that whichever app, whichever avenue is giving good advice to the SME, use it. So we are not limiting ourselves and saying that we are the only reference point that SME have. We are one of the reference point that SME have. Yes, Nick?
I'd just like to add some interesting insight. Now, this story it's not related to any of our clients. It's more of my personal contact, a business owner, owner of a clinic in Pahang who suffered from a flood incident back in 2017. Now, the story is very interesting because the business owner was aware about the flood risk, but his management team didn't believe it, even though they could see the flood coming. And reflecting on the story, what he told me was that sometimes it's not just about data, about knowing the information, but it's about believing in it. And it seems that as human beings, we are somewhat hardwired to be optimistic. I mean, we see that risk, but we kind of think like, this is not going to happen to me. And it's not the only instance, right? So what I'm trying to say is that I think you're on a great path here to have all this tool to bring people's awareness. But perhaps as a next step, maybe you can also bring it to public's imagination. I'm not sure how exactly you're going to do that, either through case studies or more conversation. It's not just about showing data, but basically saying that, hey, you know, this can happen to you, right? And I think that's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick. Very, very true. Besides yourself, I'm a flood victim myself. My parents' house was flooded in 2011 during the big flood during Kluang session, and my mother-in-law's house was flooded 2 times in 2017 and also in 2021. So both happened somewhere very near the Chinese New Year festival. So sometimes it's true, we are always on a denial, that it's okay, I think the water is just down there, it will not come to the house. So how do we move to that level? So I do agree with your suggestion. Let's bring it down to the people and saying that, hey, this is a preventive measure and never underestimate it. It might happen. And some of these things are very easy to do. Just get it done. So I think I will conclude that, and I would like to summarize. I think we are all very supportive that this could be a new beginning in terms of giving awareness to our SMEs, and I've collected various good opinion and also feedback. They are interested to also adding just not the flood, fire, storm. And I think talking about awareness, it is a very whole encompassing. So we are just covering one part, which is risk. I think like what Candy and so Don had mentioned, there are many, many things as well. So we will bring this feedback and probably discuss or share it with the relevant bodies in terms of the needs that is required by SME. I would like to say thank you very much for all your support. And before I leave this session, we will want to share the last slide. Yes, we do have feedback form or feedback mode for you to give us feedback, and this QR code will be valid until tomorrow, 8 March 2024, 5 p.m. So if you have anything that you can think about while driving later, back home, don't text during driving. When you're back home, you have a bit peace of mind and you want to give us more feedback, please, by all means, go to this particular link and share it with us. We will close it tomorrow at 5 p.m. All right, so I'm going to end my session, and before we bid our farewell, I would like to call Jen and also Miko again to maybe do a bit of a closing. Yes.
Shall I go first this time? Thank you. We're like a tag team wrestling. Hands up everyone who likes wrestling. Yeah, me neither. I always thought it was the most ridiculous sport, if you can call it a sport, invented by mankind. Except for Diana, who thinks that it is amazing and very competitive and totally true. But we are like a tag team, so that's okay, that's good. So, I mean, first of all, just say thank you very much, everyone, those online and here who've participated and added some thoughts. I already saw a huge amount of things which I can imagine The platform, the tool that is currently there, I think it's very good and it's useful. But it's already, we're already looking to see how can you build things into it? How can you provide more information to SMEs? Not even things related to risk, but even other things which are, if you like, connected to how they can reduce risk and adapt and so forth. So I'm really happy. I'm looking forward to seeing the next steps. It'd be interesting to see, Mirko, about what, in terms of what's the milestones. Maybe that'd be good to get that from you about how do we see the rollout and what do we imagine coming back in 6, 12 months and seeing where we're getting to and what information and how we need to adapt and to reach more SMEs and get more feedback. But over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, well, the very first feedback is, to be honest, I'm extremely happy of the fact that we got, interactive session, and I hope also the people following online were able to enjoy. And I think this is the demonstration that this makes sense. But there is a but. To me, the worst thing that may happen is to stop here and leave it here. This is the worst thing. This is a starting stage. We just need to keep on developing, as we said. Many suggestions have been already shared, and many, I'm sure, they will come until tomorrow. But I think we should build further on that. And first of all, as next steps, Malaysia certainly will be, the country where we want to take steps, ahead. But then, of course, we are already, having additional sessions with UNDP in these days, precisely, also to decide next steps, also outside Malaysia, to get it like a new way of thinking. There are two main messages I would highlight also from the discussions we had and the interactive discussions. One is, let's be practical. Let's be pragmatic in the way we want to develop further and in the way we want to expand this tool to other, to expand the awareness, on the tool. Some suggestions we've been talking about it, and I think we need to develop further on that. Practical example or best practices, coming even from, some other countries, it may be helpful to increase awareness. One thing is also important is that, to me, of course, no one is giving certainty about, guys, this is not going, never to happen to you, and you must be safe, and if you do all of these things, you can sleep well. Of course, you can sleep well. Insurance can help, but I think you will be surprised that, as I said before, immediate actions can deliver benefit, but can also, to you, without necessarily buying insurance, okay? It's against me, this, but without even buying insurance, immediate action can deliver benefit to you. And can also have a secondary effect, because in the development of your own activity, some of these actions will try to guide you on the development of your activity further. Let's look also at the secondary benefit of it. And the second comment is, we certainly need to push with government bodies together, because it's clear from all the comments I've seen, awareness goes on the ground. We can work on the ground, but we have also to engage and keep government bodies and associations engaged for the next steps. I think these are the two things that, in my view, they are very relevant, that they have to go together.
Well, maybe on that last point, one of the things to think about as well is how does the government own the tool itself, so that it's not owned, if you like, owned being a rather odd word, by Generali and UNDP and the SME community, but actually, is there a driving force within government who actually maybe should be leading this? Something for us to consider how that works and the implications, but yeah, just something for the future.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't want to keep you longer. I think a big thank you It's been very, very helpful even for us.
Thank you. Thank you very much for all who have attended. So we have concluded our session today. For all our fellow guests, we have some freshmen prepared outside at the foyer. Please linger around and network. Yes, we would like to get the speakers to stay back for a while. Photographer Brandon, you want to take a picture of everybody, or probably yes. Candy and also probably. Sorry, but we just take a picture moment. Maybe, gentlemen, you get your seat. Brandon, you take it from the front. Are you taking one from the front for all everybody, or? Yeah? Background. Okay. All right. Probably the speakers. Can we get the speakers to be outstanding? Is it? You want them to be standing? Oh, everybody stand in front. Yes, 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 yes. Silly of me. Yes. Come.